Okay, picking up where we left off on page 414, we're talking about two different techniques for doing labels. One is you use a label and then you just encapsulate or surround, whatever the right term is. You surround the text you want and you surround the input. That works, but not as well as you might think. This technique means these guys could be physically anywhere. I mean, they don't have to be side by side. Let me give you another example. Let's say that you decided to put this into a table. And so you had a column over here that had all the labels. Then you had a column over here that had all the text boxes. They're not immediately adjacent, are they? I mean, one's inside a TD up here, and the other one's inside a TD down here. So how the heck do you associate them when they're not physically close to each other? This technique. Now, we're not doing it because we're using tables in this case. We're doing it because we're going to come back later and do some CSS. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do this on all these, but through the magic of video, it's only going to take a second. Okay, ta-da! Through the magic of video editing, I now have a label for every one of my input guys. So, for example, a label for the checkbox, I got a label for the radio buttons, I got a label for the password. Now, as you can probably imagine, it's not going to look any different. All it did was just create a label and use the for thing to glue the two things together. Now, I didn't put labels on like the image button and the button, those guys, because I don't have labels for those guys, right? I'm only talking about the text that shows up here. Cool? All right. So, doesn't look any different. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to temporarily comment out some of this stuff here, just because this next part is just going to be, I just want to get rid of all that god-awful looking graphic stuff. So I just want to get back to kind of something simple. Okay? Cool. All right. Now, so now that I've separated the things out and have a separate label, now we're kind of sort of ready to talk about how to do things in CSS. But we've got a couple more things to do before we get there. And the first one they talk about next is the field set. And so the field set is typically, it's a visual grouping. It just puts a small box up there. And a lot of people do that on radio buttons, okay? Because what happens if I have two radio buttons side by side? It'd be kind of hard to tell that your class standing one and your gender one weren't all just kind of run together. You need to physically separate them. And this is just a visual thing. And so I'm going to go to my radio button guy and throw in a field set around it. So I'm just going to go here and say field set, okay? And then just grab my radio buttons and my label and put him inside my field set. That's it. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of rocket surgery here. It's just putting inside a field set. And you'll see what it looks like. Again, it's not going to change the way things work. It's just going to make it look kind of cool. It puts this little box around it. So it kind of separates it out. And so, like, for example, grouping like your name, address, and that kind of stuff in a box. And then you're asking about what color they want and all the rest of those things. It's just a way of going in and grouping things together. In this case, I probably want to change the width because the width looks kind of dumb. I'm going to go here and say, I'm going to just style this guy directly. I mean, hey, width, and I don't know, 150 pixels, something like that. Let's see what that looks like. And so this, probably 150 is not enough. How about 250? That'll look a little better. Okay, that looks pretty decent. So some sort of a just visual separator. You could have a word that shows up here. It's called the legend. I am legend. No. So you go here and you just say legend. And you tell it, what do you want to show up in there? And I'm going to say, I don't know, your school standing, because I can't figure out what the term is. Status, standing, I don't know what the heck that name is. All right, so this is going to show up inside the top of that guy. It'll look pretty cool, I think. So it just says your school standing, and it actually shows up inside the line. Okay, it's visual. Most people don't apply like a bunch of CSS to that. I mean, you could. You could change the color of the line and all the rest of that stuff. But, you know, come on. On page 418, they talk about the tab order, what they call the tab index property. And the idea is that if you're running on a keyboard, I'm going to start up here. And first of all, what is if I just start typing on the keyboard, is anything currently selected? So I have to physically click inside the first box. And what happens if I hit tab? It goes to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. You can see it kind of jumping around from every one of those guys. Okay, that's the tab order. And by default, it's going to be in the order in which they appear in the page. However, it could be that maybe you have like name, first name, last name, and so it's this way, and then sometimes it goes down. Sometimes it's left or right. Sometimes it's up and down. And so there's a way you can control, if you have to, where you can override the default for the order in which these tabs will show up. Anyway, it's done with a thing called the tab index, and you just go in and say tab index equal to 1, and then 2, then 3, then 4, then whatever. So just pick one, and just say, tab index is equal to 1, and then make the next one tab in just whatever order you want them in. Okay. The next one talks about the access key. On page 418, there's some keyboard shortcuts. So let's say, for example, you want the keyboard shortcut for first name to be the letter F, and the last name would be the letter N. You can fix it so people who have disabilities can immediately go to different pieces of their thing. All right. Now, there kind of sort of is an issue with this. I'm going to go ahead and do access key. And I'm going to say F for that one. And I'm going to go down here to access key equals L for that one. All right. I'm going to run this. So, what visual clue do I have that tells me that I'm supposed to hit F for the first name or L for the last name? There isn't one. A lot of people what you have to do is you would go in and do an underline, but you have to do an underline on just the one letter. Okay? So I know, just bear with me. So here for F, I'm gonna do a span right here. And just catch this first letter. And then I'm going to have to go in here and underline it. I'm going to go ahead and just do it with... And remember it was like text... What was it? Text decoration? Is that what it is? Let's just hit text decoration and colon and see what we got. I got line through. I got dashed. Oh, there's underline. Okay. All right, let me run this one more time. And now I have a fighting chance of you knowing that F is the thing that has to happen. So access key by itself, not all that nice. I really need another technique. I need to go in here and manually set these guys up so that I can visually tell what the heck is going on. I'm just going to grab that because I'm lazy and put it right here. Okay, even this is kind of subtle, right? I mean, it's not slap up in your face. So F for first name, and on my keyboard I would hit like Alt L, and that would bring me to that one. Alt F would bring me to the one above. So the Alt F and Alt thing. On other keyboards, obviously, it's different. So yes, the access key thing works, but by itself, you kind of sort of need something else. Okay. And you can probably imagine you can run out of letters. I mean, I have F, L, maybe B for blue, R for red, J for senior, S, P for password, C for comments. And, now I've got red, blue, and green down here. How to get the colors. I can't call both of them colors because this C would be for comment and not for color. So maybe I would pick like the O. So yeah, you can see how this gets a little crazy after a while. I mean, if you got 26 letters in the alphabet and you've got a gazillion of these. Oh, that's a good Trivial Pursuit question. Are these things case sensitive? Is there a difference between an access key with a capital F and a lowercase f down here? Does that matter if this is the access key part? Sorry. If this is a lowercase f or an uppercase f? No, don't matter. So basically you got 26. As long as there's no collision, you're okay. Alright, so that's how that works. Finally, we get to 419. We're talking about styling this thing because you can see this thing looks like hell, okay? It's horrible. So what I want is some sort of a way to break this up and make it a little better. Now to do this, I'm gonna temporarily take this part out, this field set guy, because he's gonna mess up my example. That's why. All right, what I want to do now is I want to basically do like a 2-column design. You know, we've done this enough, right? You kind of sort of know what 2-column designs look like by now, I think. So typically it's talking about picking one of the items and making it float to the left, right? So what is it I want to float to the left? Well, I want the label to float to the left. So I'm going to go up to here and do everything embedded for no particular reason. So I'm going to do style. So I'm going to take label guy, only to spell it right, and I want to make him float to the left. And I'm going to have to give it a width because, right? And so with I don't know, 150. That's we'll try that. Okay, we'll try that. So that's how we'll start. We'll just start with that, and we'll impress upon it one thing at a time. So now all these things kind of line up, and does that look a heck of a lot better, right? You know, all nice and pretty. All the labels on one side, all the text on the other. Not text, but all the input on the other. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, well, I didn't exactly do the reset part, but because I didn't have a label for that. But okay. But let's say, for example, now I'm going to do text align. So I want to do text align, and I want to align it right to the right. So it'll be right up against the thing. So instead of having them way over here, that'll be, you know, lined up against each other, really tight in the middle. All right, so the problem is it practically touches, right? I mean, like, enter your password touches the thing, and man, that's just, in fact, I don't have a colon there on enter your password, but that's beside the point. Let me go down there and find that guy. Colon, cool. So I need to add something. Now, help me out here. If I was to, using the box model, do I want to do margin here, or do I want to do padding? It actually would make better sense to just go ahead and do margin. So this will be the margin on the right-hand side. And I don't know, 4 pixels. That sounds good, right? Something. Let's see what this thing looks like now. And yay, they all line up and it looks pretty doggone cool. All right? All right, so how do I get this guy to move over? Well, because there is no label here for me to float, I basically just have to tell him he needs to scoot over. But how far is he going to need to scoot over? Is it going to be 150? Or 154? Remember the box model? Okay, so I'm going to go here, and I think I'm just going to manually do this one. All right, just manually for no particular reason. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm just going to say style, S-T-Y-L-E, style, and I'm going to say the margin on this time, the margin on the left. Margin on the left. Come on. Is 154 pixels. Okay, so I'm manually doing that one. And that, in theory, these guys should line up razor sharp right on that edge. That look pretty cool? I think it does. Okay, this is a good place to start for the 15-minute mark. We'll polish this thing off in just a few.